Good morning to all of you students. So let us begin from this part, that is reaction of acids with metals. Now for this activity, you need what all apparatus. You can see in the screen itself, right? The apparatus and chemicals needed. First of all, we need a test tube. We need dilute HCl, magnesium ribbon. We need cork. Yes. So all these things we need. So how the reaction occurs? Reaction occurs between acids and metals. So magnesium is a metal, right? Magnesium is in the ribbon form. We have taken magnesium inside the test tube. So how HCl reacts with magnesium ribbon? That is your experiment. So when you react acids with metals, what you find that the strength and concentration of acid is increasing and there is reaction taking place, and reactivity of metal and temperature also increases. So it is very easy to bring about the reaction of this dilute solution of acids by what? Moderately reactive metals at normal temperature. Okay, so we will get magnesium chloride and hydrogen gas here. Okay, so that is how the reaction occurs. So there is a burning of hydrogen with an explosion. How the hydrogen gas is? It reacts and there's an explosion occurring. So what you can observe in this reaction, children? Magnesium metal is reacting with dilute HCl acid and hydrogen gas is formed. So when burning candle is brought near the gas, you have to take a burning candle and bring it near the gas. Okay. So what you find that hydrogen gas burns with a pop sound. There will be a pop sound. Okay. Hydrogen gas will be reacting with a pop sound and the reactive magnesium metal will displace hydrogen from the acid. Okay. So what the magnesium metal is doing? It displaces. Yes, it displaces the hydrogen. That means it changes the place of hydrogen from HCl acid and releases what? Hydrogen gas. Okay. And at the same time, what happens to magnesium metal? Magnesium metal will be converted to radical, which combines with acidic radical from acid and it forms magnesium chloride and it is a salt. So this is how, what will be the reaction here, students? You can note down the reaction Mg plus HCl. Okay. Mg plus 2HCl gives MgCl2 plus H2. That is magnesium reacts with hydrogen chloride and gives magnesium chloride and hydrogen. So that is the activity. Okay. Now moving to the next slide. Here you have to complete the reactions. Metal plus dilute acid gives salt and water. The first reaction just now I had told you, magnesium reacting with hydrogen chloride gives magnesium chloride and hydrogen. Now the second reaction, zinc plus dash gives zinc sulfate plus dash. Okay, you all can type in the chat box which acid we will add with zinc. Everyone, which acid we should add with zinc so that we get zinc sulfate? Come on. Very good, Soumya. Correct answer. We have to add sulfuric acid. That is, what is the formula of sulfuric acid? H2SO4. So Zn plus H2SO4 will give ZnSO4 plus H2. Hydrogen is released. Okay, now moving to the fourth equation. Dash plus dash gives CuNO3 twice plus H2. That is copper nitrate and hydrogen we are getting. But what will be the reactants? What you are going to add here so that you will get copper nitrate and hydrogen gas? Quickly, everyone, give the answers in the chat box. Which metal you have to add here and which acid you have to add here? Think and write the answer. Yes, very good. Yes, Soumya, Ashwin. Okay, copper is a metal. Very good. Copper is a metal and acid is nitric acid. What is the formula of nitric acid? HNO3. Okay, so you can write here Cu plus HNO3 gives CuNO3 twice plus H2. Okay, so always you have to write the acid or what or the symbols, everything in capital letters first. Okay, H should be capital, N should be capital, and O should be capital. Some students are writing in small letters, HNO3. That is wrong. Okay, always write in capital letter. Okay, Shridhi, I'm repeating again for you. Listen carefully. So here dash plus dash gives copper nitrate. That is what is answer? Copper plus nitric acid will give you copper nitrate and hydrogen. Okay. So I hope this is clear to you all. Okay, now moving to the next reaction. Okay, now here what is the reaction stating here? It is the activity of water of crystallization. Okay, what is this? The activity of water of crystallization. Now what is the procedure for this activity? You have to take some crystals of blue vitriol. Do you know what is blue vitriol, children? What what is blue vitriol? Anybody? A crystal. Okay, which crystal? What is the name of that crystal, Soumya? Write in the chat box. Which crystal is called as blue vitriol? Everyone can type in the chat box. Okay, Rajesh Khate is saying don't know. Okay, sapphire. Okay, fine. What else? If you look carefully, you will get the answer. Yes, Soumya has given the right answer. Okay, that is copper sulfate. Copper sulfate, children, look here. Look at the screen. Copper sulfate is blue in color. So it is also called as blue vitriol, right? So you have to take some crystals of blue vitriol in 2 test tubes. Okay, in 2 test tubes as shown in the screen. Then add some water in 1 test tube and shake it. Okay, you are going to add some water. And what do you see here? What is the color of the solution formed? What you will see that blue vitriol has dissolved in water. What you will observe? That blue vitriol has dissolved in water. Okay. And what is the next color of the solution form? When it dissolves, what happens? You will find which color solution? Can you guess? No, Ayushi, it is not white. When blue vitriol dissolves in water, we will get blue color solution in the beginning. Okay, so what is the color of the solution formed in the beginning? It is blue color. Now, next procedure, what we have to do? After that, you have to heat the other test tube on a low flame of burner. Now, when you're heating it, what did you see here? When you're heating, what happens exactly? The crystalline structure of blue vitriol will break. Yes, and it will form colorless powder and the water will evaporate. Okay. Now at this stage, what will be the change in the color taking place? What change did you notice in the color of blue vitriol? Okay. Now it is white. Very good, Dhruv. Now it has converted from blue color to white color because of heating. So once again, I'll repeat, on heating, what happens to the blue vitriol? The crystalline structure of blue vitriol breaks down and it will form colorless powder and water will evaporate. So now what you got? You got a white powder. Initially, it was blue colored powder. After heating with water, what you got? White color powder. So the color of blue vitriol changes to white color. Okay. So what did you see in the upper part of the test tube? Okay, when you will find look at the upper part of the test tube, what you can see there, some water droplets are formed on the upper part. Yes, due to evaporation and all, some water droplets occurs. Now, when the second test tube is cooling down, what you have to do? You have to again add some water in it and shake it. and observe the color of the solution. So now what you find on adding water, what will be the color of the solution, children? Any guess? Yes, very good. Soumya is answering well. It will again turn to blue color. Okay. So when water is added to that white powder, you are getting back the blue colored solution. So how the conversion occurs from blue to white and then from white to blue. This is how the, uh, what you can say, the reaction occurs. Conversion of copper sulfate, which is blue in color, on giving heat to copper sulfate, what we are getting? Copper sulfate crystals, which is white in color due to dehydration. But when you're adding water again to that white powder, we are getting back the blue colored solution. So from this, what inference you can write? That heating does not cause any chemical change, okay, in the blue vitriol. But on heating blue vitriol, what happens exactly? There is loss of water molecules. And due to this, blue color that is present, okay, that will vanish due to breaking down of crystal structure. So on adding water, that blue vitriol regains its blue color. Okay. And so what we can say about these changes? All these changes are physical changes. It's not a chemical change because we can regain that blue color of copper sulfate. So it's a physical change. So in a physical change, there will be no change in color occurring. Okay, we can regain. It is a reversible change, reversible process. So that is about this activity where you studied the reaction of copper sulfate with water. Okay, that is called water of crystallization. Now we are moving to the few more experiments. That is a reaction of acid with oxides and metals. You know, when acid, okay, acid reacts with any of the oxide, it forms metallic oxides. Okay, when metal oxides, for example, if you are taking calcium oxide, okay, calcium oxide plus HCl, what is formed? Calcium chloride and water. Everywhere salt and water is there. That is means it is a neutralization reaction. Okay. Magnesium oxide, if reacts with hydrogen chloride, you will get magnesium chloride and water. Similarly, zinc oxide will give zinc chloride and water. Aluminium oxide will give aluminium chloride and water. In this way, what is happening here? Okay. What is occurring? The reaction of acid with oxide of metal. So you can take a test tube. In that you can add the red oxide, okay, little bit red oxide, and then add small quantity of HCl. Red oxide means it is iron oxide. Okay. So when you will add like this way, what you are getting? Iron oxide is also called as red oxide. And what is the formula, children? Anybody? What is the formula of iron oxide? Okay. It is Fe2O3. Very good. So students, it is Fe2O3. Okay. Now here, what happens? Water insoluble iron oxide, that is red oxide, reacts with HCl and it produces what? Iron chloride. And it gives yellow color to the water. Okay. So the reaction occurs, and that reaction is again, it is not a physical change, but it is a chemical change, because we are getting that yellow colored ferric chloride, which will not get back converted to red color here. So it is not a physical change, but it is a chemical change. What about reaction of oxides with bases with other oxides? Oxides of non-metals, for example, carbon dioxide. Okay, carbon dioxide reacts with sodium hydroxide. And again, we will get what? Salt and water. Everywhere you're getting salt and water. But non-metals, how they are? They are said to be acidic in nature. Okay. So when oxides of non-metals reacts with acids, what we are getting? We are getting salt and water. Take example, carbon dioxide plus sodium hydroxide. Okay, what we are getting? Sodium carbonate and water. So CO2 plus NaOH will give Na2CO3 plus H2. Okay. Again, if you are taking potassium hydroxide instead of sodium hydroxide, carbon dioxide plus potassium hydroxide will give potassium carbonate plus water. That is CO2 plus KOH will give K2CO3 plus H2. Similarly, if you take sodium hydroxide plus sulfur trioxide, SO3 plus NaOH, what you're getting? Na2SO4 plus H2. In this way, we are getting oxide of non-metal plus base as the reactants are oxides of non-metal and base. When reacts, what it forms? Salt and water. So that is about the reaction, some of the reactions. Okay, so now let us move to the next part, that is how to test the electrical conductivity of a solution. I will come back to the next that part, salts and all, after some time, students. First, let us finish this activity. Okay, now here what we need to prepare the solution of sodium chloride in 50 ml of water. Now you can see in the screen. Yes, what is shown? You are using bare electric wire, bulb, battery, and a support. Okay, in the beaker you have to take solution of sodium chloride. Okay, so what you have to do? You have to prepare the sodium chloride solution. How are you going to prepare it? By adding 1 gram sodium chloride, that is your salt. Okay, in 550 ml of water. And then we have to take 2 electrical wires as shown in the diagram. You can see in the diagram the wires. Okay, 2 electrical wires are shown over here, students. So that you can take, okay, this is these 2 wires. Okay, in this way. Then connect 1 wire to the positive terminal of a 6-volt battery. So here you can see the battery over here. Okay, what is the voltage? 6 volt. It is written over there. So you have to connect the wire to the battery. Okay, while connecting the other wire to the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, 1 wire to the positive terminal, other to the negative terminal. Include 1 switch and 1 holder. What we have to take? We have to take 1 switch. Okay, switch is shown here. Okay, and 1 holder. In this way, it should be, experimental setup should be in this manner. With an electric bulb. Okay, you can see over here the electric bulb. So all these things should be there for electrical conductivity of the solution. How to test the electrical conductivity? What is electrical conductivity? Whether the electric current is passing through the solution or not, that we are going to check. Okay. Now remove the insulating cladding from 3 centimeter portion of other free ends of the 2 wires. Okay. So insulating cladding you have to remove. You can see over here the insulating cladding is removed. Okay. So in this way, you have to take bare electric wire. What we are taking here? Bare electric wire. So there is no insulators on the top of these wires. Yes. So that's why what we can say it as bare insulated wires. So take the salt solution in a 100 ml capacity beaker and immerse the uncovered ends of the 2 wires in it, keeping the wire erect with the help of a support. So in the salt solution, which is of 100 ml capacity beaker, okay, what you are going to do? It immerse the ends of the 2 wires. You can just check here how the wires are immersed. Yes, the wires are inside the solution. And how the wires are with electric wires are without any insulating covers. That means what you can say, it is uncovered by the insulators. Switch on the current. Okay, immediately what you have to do after this? You have to switch on the current and note whether the bulb is glowing or not. You can see a bulb over here. Is the bulb glowing? Is the bulb glowing or not? Check it. If the bulb glowing means what? What you can conclude? That the electric current is flowing through the solution. Okay, if the bulb is not glowing means what you will write the conclusion? No electric current is passing through the solution. Okay, in this way you have to repeat the same procedure by changing the solution. First we have taken suppose sodium chloride, no? First what we have taken now? Salt solution, sodium chloride. Now instead of sodium chloride, you change it to which solution? You can take copper sulfate solution, blue colored copper sulfate solution. 1 gram copper sulfate you have to mix with water, okay, 50 ml water, and take that solution. Or you can take glucose, 1 gram glucose powder, okay, or you can take 1 gram urea. In this way, keep on changing the solution and check with every solution whether the electric current is passing or not. You can even use dilute H2SO4. Okay. So dilute H2SO4, with dilute H2SO4, whether the electric current passes or not, you can check it. So in this way, you have to keep on changing the solution and find out what are the, whether the electric current is passing or not. Okay. So finally, you have to write the observation. So if the bulb is glowing means what? Electric current is passing through it. If the bulb is not glowing means electric current is not passing. Okay. And if the electric current is passing means what? The complete circuit. Okay. Electric circuit that is complete. So from this activity, what you learned, the circuit is found to be complete with only 3 solutions. Four solutions. That is with sodium chloride, copper sulfate, sulfuric acid, and sodium hydroxide. That means these solutions are what? Good conductors of electricity. Mark and keep it. Only 4 solutions are allowing the electric current to pass. That is sodium chloride, NaCl, copper sulfate, CuSO4, sulfuric acid, H2SO4, and sodium hydroxide, NaOH. So 4 solutions are allowing the electric current to pass through it. So that means what we can conclude, all these 4 solutions are good conductors of electricity. Okay. So if electrons conduct electricity through these wires, ions will conduct electricity through the liquid. And what happens? Electrons will leave the battery at the negative terminal and they will complete the electric circuit and enter the battery at the positive terminal. This is the procedure taking place. Electrons are continuously traveling from negative terminal to the positive terminal inside the cell. Okay. So when there is a liquid or solution in the circuit, what happens? The 2 rods or wires or plates that is immersed in it, what we call them as electrodes. What are these 2 rods called, children? They are called as electrodes. Okay, you can find here the 2 rods I have shown you here, which is immersed inside the solution. So we can call them as anode and cathode. Yes or no, students? Remember, you studied about electrodes. Okay, so what is cathode? Cathode is a negative electrode connected to the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, by a conducting wire. What we call it as cathode. And the electrode connected to the positive terminal of the battery, what we call it as anode. Very good. Some of the students are giving the answers in the chat box also. Okay, good students, good. So this way you can study this activity. So from this, what we learned, that electric circuit is completed on immersing the electrodes in certain liquids or solutions. Okay, so certain liquids only it passes. Now you find that urea is not passing the electric current, glucose is not passing the electric current. Yes, whereas which are the 4 solutions which are passing the electric current? NaCl, CuSO4, H2SO4, and NaOH. Only these 4 solutions are allowing the electric current to pass through it. I hope the things are much more clear to you, students. So this is nothing but how electrical conductivity occurs in ionic compound. NaCl is an ionic compound, and where electricity is passing through the ionic compounds. Okay. Now, how the dissociation of ions occurs? Let us learn about this. Okay. So here, in the previous activity, you learned how the electric current passes through NaCl, CuSO4, H2SO4, and NaOH. So out of this, what suppose if you take NaCl and CuSO4, what we can say about them? They are salt. Okay. So before beginning this, I would like to inform you regarding salt. What is salt? Okay, there are 3 types of salt: acidic, basic, and neutral salt. Okay. So what, for example, if you'll take 10 ml aqueous solution, okay, from 1 gram each of sodium chloride, ammonium chloride, and sodium bicarbonate, and measure its pH by using pH paper, what you find that the pH values are different for different salt. Yesterday we have studied about pH value. So pH of acid is different from pH of base. So from this reaction, what we can say, from the neutralization reaction, we are getting what? Salt and water. Okay. So what we can say about a neutral salt? Neutral salt, yes, neutral salt, how it is formed by neutralization of a strong acid by a strong base. Whenever you are mixing a strong acid with a strong base, what we are getting? We are getting a neutral salt. The aqueous solution of neutral salt, what is the pH of aqueous solution of neutral salt, students? Yesterday we did it. 7. Very good. It is 7. Okay. So an acidic salt, suppose if you're taking acidic salt, okay, how it occurs? It occurs because of reaction of strong acid and weak base. And what is the pH of aqueous solution of acidic salt? Is it more than 7 or less than 7? Yes, very good, Soumya. It is less than 7. Acids are having the pH value less than 7. Yesterday you have seen that pH meter and and the chart. Yes, pH values I have shown you. All the acids and acidic salts are having values less than 7. If you're taking basic salt, what we find, how it occurs? Basic salt, how it is formed? When weak acid is reacting with strong base, what we get? Basic salt. And what is the pH value of basic salt? Is it less than 7 or greater than 7? I want the reply in the chat box, students. Yes, very good. It will be greater than 7. Okay. So in this way, we got 3 types of salt, that is acidic salt, basic salt, and neutral salt. So these are the 3 types of salts. So students, so let us go to the evaluation part now. Okay.